I turned this kitchen into this kitchen for $5,048.76, including appliances. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm going to be starting a series called The Real Cost. This series is going to be for homeowners or investors that are wanting to redo entire parts of their house, whether it be the kitchen or the bathroom, but they're willing to redo the entire project DIY. But I'm going to be using my own experience and what it costs for just materials from your local big box stores, whether it be Home Depot or Lowe's, which is typically what's in my area, so that's where I'm going to be pulling numbers from. But I know some people have Menards, which I think is a little bit cheaper, or maybe your local construction supply store will make these numbers a little bit cheaper. But I got a lot of questions asking, oh wow, how did you do that kitchen for $3,000 or $4,000 or whatever it may be, which really isn't a lot of money to redo an entire kitchen. When I say redo, I mean gut everything. So right now I'm going to throw up some pictures on the screen of my most recent house renovation project. Now this kitchen, it wasn't necessarily the worst I've ever done. And I'm sorry for the pictures, we don't have any video. I really wasn't making YouTube videos then, so I wasn't necessarily thinking about that. But we do have some decent pictures where you can kind of see the progression of it. So as you can see, like, it wasn't necessarily in the worst shape. This house had been flooded and vacant for multiple years. And just for a style-wise, this kitchen did need to be updated, but realistically, we could have just painted the cabinets and redid the countertops and then kind of just left it. But we wanted to add a dishwasher, and we were willing to spend the extra money to just go ahead and start over, considering we were redoing basically the entire house anyway. And really the biggest issue with this was that there was a lot of mold behind the cabinets, and that was part of the reason we ended up taking them out, because it was not only behind the cabinets, it was in the cabinets. And real quick, why these pictures are rolling, some ideas of why you would want to renovate your kitchen, especially if you're going to sell. Let's say you bought a house 20 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever, and the kitchen's kind of outdated, but you really want to provide that one room that's just going to just really bump up the value in order for you to sell your house for, and more at the top of the market. You'll get a contractor to come in, they're going to quote you at 15, 20 grand. They're going to want to, you're going to want to put granite in and get you these oak cabinets, all the highest end appliances. And there your budget's ticking up and up and up. And realistically, it's diminishing returns, because you're not going to, you're not going to be able to spend $25,000 on a kitchen and somebody pay you $50,000 extra on your home. Because let's be honest, this kitchen cost under $5,000 for me to put in just some materials, and that's including appliances. A potential buyer is going to walk into this house and want to give me, an extra $15,000 over another house just because of this kitchen. Well, there I spent $1 and made $2 back. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and roll the clip of what the kitchen looks like currently, and then we'll start looking at, at a breakdown of the numbers and things. So these are the diamond white shaker cabinets from Lowe's. And in this kitchen, we have 6 lower cabinets and 9 upper cabinets, which is a lot of cabinets. When you're going to redo your kitchen, you probably will have less, so that actually bump your price down. And keep in mind that the upper cabinets are the ones that are more expensive. So the less upper cabinets you actually put up, it actually ends up decreasing your price a little bit. So just for cabinets for this house, we spent $2,215.58 for the cabinet purchases. But that include like the shims as well as the base cap. And I'm not sure if that included the handles or not, but I don't have it written down as a separate category, so I think it probably did. And then we spent $30 on cabinet screws. And then for the appliances, we had appliances for $1,237.45. But that doesn't include the fridge, because we had the fridge from our last home, which we ended up getting. It was like a refurbished stainless steel fridge. We ended up getting it for like $470 delivered, back when Lowe's would deliver returned appliances. So we're going to take a step back from the B-roll for a second. So these numbers you can see on the screen for the countertop. This is a concrete countertop that I made in our shed. So this is just what you'll need in terms of supplies. As you can see, it is excessively cheap compared to, like a comparable solid surface or a granite or literally anything else. If you were to have a company come in and do concrete, it's really expensive because it's really hard to finish. With these ones, I used melamine. I actually made the mold upside down, reverse, and poured them so it carried that nice glass-like surface, and then flipped them over and finished them. I did actually attempt to do the pour in place, where you buy the forms and then you pour the concrete in place and try to finish it. And I'm just really not a good enough concrete finisher to be able to make the finish that we wanted. So I ended up scrapping that project. So I spent a little bit more than I had anticipated because I had some extra waste there. But now if you're not basically a pro concrete finisher, just buy the melamine, build the molds, and just do your concrete countertop yourself, it saves you so much money. Because there is no way you're going to be able to get that much countertop for $330, which is what this countertop costs. And I think if I remember correctly, we have 46 square feet of countertop. That sounds about right. It's a surprising amount of countertop for how small the kitchen looks once we pack all that stuff in there. So this floor is a luxury vinyl plank that we got from Lowe's. It's just a tongue and groove. It has the pad attached already. When I bought it, I think it was $260 a square foot. Since then, it's gone up. The color is Lanier Hickory. We've been fairly impressed with the floor so far. We put another luxury vinyl plank on our last home that I wasn't really necessarily a super fan of the brand, but this one seems to be holding up so far. So for this house, this was like $500 worth of flooring for the kitchen. For the sink, our sink ended up costing about $400. We like to go with the big 33-inch sinks to fit in our 36-inch cabinet. My wife likes them without the divider, so those typically cost a little bit more. We typically just go for the stainless steel sink. We spent $400 on this one. The one that we put in our last kitchen, I actually liked better. Honestly, I think it was like a Glacier Bay. I think it was $270, including the faucet. This one was $400, including the faucet. So there are cheaper options out there, and I actually like the $280 Glacier Bay better. There was a couple of rust spots, after about 2 years, which was kind of annoying, but it was a really good-looking sink, and it was really big and really deep. The standard 9-inch depth base sink for an affordable price, because especially when people walk in, they're like, "Oh, I love that sink," and that's exactly what you want, especially if you're redoing a kitchen to sell the house. And when I said full gut, I mean like we took everything out. So these are numbers. These are my numbers. This is what it's going to cost for you to do everything in your house. So our ceiling light, I don't know if I can find a picture of it. I'll throw it up if I can. It's actually a skylight light from Costco. It ended up being $55 on sale. We went for under the cabinet lighting, which realistically isn't necessarily a great moneymaker. Like, nobody's going to pay you extra because cabinets have under the cabinet lighting, but we always put it in because we used it in our house. It ended up being $100 just for the lights, and then I went and hardwired those into the existing electrical switches that were there. And then, I don't know if you've noticed, but we don't have a over the sink light currently. It's on my to-do list. I just haven't got around to it yet. But I have the light. It's just one of those standard LED boob lights from Home Depot or Lowe's. I can't remember which one I bought it at, but it was like $20. And then we changed out all the receptacles and switches. That was about $30. It's like, that stuff's really not expensive at all, especially if you're going to do it yourself. Now if you're going to have an electrician come out, yeah, it gets a little expensive. Even if you're not necessarily familiar with working with electrical, there's YouTube videos. Don't quote me on this. So you get injured, I'm just a guy on YouTube just giving you my experiences. So don't do anything you're not comfortable with. If you're not comfortable with it, just call an electrician. Oh, and one thing I totally forgot to mention was the backsplash. Realistically, for any typical kitchen, you're going to want to put in, a backsplash. You're going to want a subway tile backsplash, which is what we always go for. So you're looking at, $12, $15 worth of grout. I think the tile adhesive, it's actually glue. It's easier than using the thin set. It was I think $13. And then for this kitchen, I don't know if you noticed, we did a full tile wall on one of the walls. So it actually ended up being like 6 or 7 boxes of tile. So it was around $100 worth of subway tile. As you can see, it is extremely affordable if you're willing to put in some sweat equity and you're willing to, upfront the money to kind of redo your kitchen. It does take a lot of work. Just pulling everything out. You're in that fun stage. You're not going to have a kitchen for a while. And then finally you get the cabinets back in, but then you don't have countertops. So, you're putting down plywood, so you can use the plywood to cut on, and so you can hold your sink. And, so I don't want to diminish how much work it actually is. So just to recap the numbers, we spent $5,048.76 redoing this entire kitchen. Granted, we did already have the fridge in our possession, so that would add another $480, because from the fridge we bought, that's how much we paid for it. But let's say you go ahead and you have your own appliances. I'm going to go ahead and take that out of the number just for countertops and cabinets and backsplash and lighting and things like that. You're looking at $3,811, which is nothing. And honestly, I get people asking me, "Oh, how'd you do this kitchen for $4,000? How'd you do this kitchen for $5,000? How'd you do, like, all these crazy numbers?" When you see all these exorbitant amounts of money that contractors are quoting them, I'm like, well, this is how. You just go to the big box store. You have the cabinet person at Lowe's help you design your kitchen. You do your own countertops. You wait and buy your appliances on sale. You go to Home Depot and buy the tile as opposed to Lowe's because it's cheaper where you are. You're just trying to save money. You're not cutting corners. You're not putting in crappy material. You're not, just kind of jimmy rigging things together. You're doing a quality job on it. You're not going to spend, $3,811 and do a crappy job that's still almost $4,000 you're spending. So you're going to do a good job. So it's going to be a good kitchen. Let's be honest. You care about your house or you care about your investment projects. So you are going to do a good job on it. And honestly, I'm a big believer in I'm going to do a better job working on one of my properties than somebody else is going to be because I care about it a lot more. I want it to last. I don't want to have to go and, fix the plumbing in 6 months, or I don't, like all these things. It's like, well, I want it to last. I want to do it, and I don't want to touch it for 10 years. Hopefully you enjoyed the start to this series. Hopefully it was informative. Hopefully it gave you something to think about, and maybe you'll incorporate some of these tactics into your next DIY project. I've got some more videos coming up, like what's the real cost of redoing a bathroom? What's the real cost of painting the outside of a house? What's the real cost of painting the inside of a house? Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you next video.